Well, hi there. Welcome to the Obi Foreign Alliance. I'm Jacob. This is Luke. Like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Comment down below. And in today's video, we're going to do a review of 13 Reasons Why Season 1. So I guess to start off, we will be doing a spoil-free part and then going into a discussion for spoilers. So I guess the premise of 13 Reasons Why is that there's been an event at a school. A character named Hannah Baker has committed suicide and she's made these tapes. And then the people that, in her mind, committed the atrocities get these tapes, and the main character that we follow throughout the show, Clay, gets these tapes in the mail, and then basically we go through the journey of him listening the tapes in 13 episodes. So I guess in a non-spoiler way, how did you like the show?
Oh, I love it. It was one of my favorite seasons. I'm not going to comment on the rest of the series, but this season is really awesome. It really keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering what happens. There is some things in there that you question whether that would have happened, but that's always going to happen even in real life. There's going to be things about stories that you wonder or think could have been done differently. So I'm not going to be critical on the show for that. But I think that the message it was trying to portray and the way they did it was good. The acting was really good, and it definitely left you on the edge of the seat wanting to see what happens next. And it suckers you into watching the rest of the seasons because of that.
Yeah.
And some of the rest of the other seasons are not as good as the first season, but you still keep watching because the writers have a very good way of making you want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts on it?
Season 1, I felt like they did the mystery parts fantastic. Like, I was hooked throughout the show, wanted to know who the people were on the tapes and why she did what she did. But I feel like their way of portraying suicide they did, I see where they were going for, but I didn't like how they did it, and I'll talk about that in the spoils section. But overall, I feel like season 1 was a good, fantastic show, and I can see why people liked it. Season 1 was a good show, kept me on the edge of my seat, and it was a fantastic season, not gonna lie.
Yeah, cool. And what about any issues? Like, is there anything that really bothered you about this show?
I guess the main issues is that the reasons the main problem with the reasons is that are that they put you on the edge of your seat. Like, the progress in the story structure is not good in this show. Like, they build on the edge of their seat. Like, the story does drag on. The episodes are quite long, but the payoff doesn't seem worth it. Like, they keep you, what's the reason going to be, and then it doesn't seem as bad as what she makes it out to be. But it's her opinion, so basically the last one is, I can completely understand, but I felt like the writers didn't need to, because the thing that happened to her at the end already happened to someone else, so it felt like they did it that was the catalyst for why she committed suicide, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought about it when you said that to me, and when I watched it, I do think you watch and you go, oh, these reasons don't seem like that it would lead to someone taking their own life, but
it's the bubble effect.
But you got to imagine that everyone's different. There's people out there that do things for strange or reasons that we don't think. Like, something that might upset me may not upset you. So like it's impossible to actually say that. But this girl did have a lot of things go on wrong with her in her life, and she had a lot of issues. So it's not unsurprising that that's what happened. But I think the show's more about the message and was it entertaining? Yes. So to me, it ticks a lot of boxes. I think getting into like a rating for it.
Yeah, verdict.
Yeah, I would give it, like maybe excellent, like a 4.5 stars, maybe even 5 for the season. I really loved season 1. I recommend it to so many people. I recommend it to you, and that's why we're doing this review. I think it's great. I think it's a great show. Yourself?
I'm going to go a 4, good to excellent, 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I think there's always going to be some people that dislike it because maybe just because it's popular. Sometimes people don't like things because other people have liked them. But I think there's very little to really dislike about this show unless you feel uncomfortable about the topic. But in itself is presented so well. So I think, it's a very, very good show.
Yeah. So I guess this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the show yet, we'll discuss about spoiler discussion. So I guess, what's your thoughts about the reasons with the tapes and how calculating she was? And I guess the main problem that I said in the spoil-free discussion was that she was so calculating to make these tapes, and then she just couldn't ask for help. She couldn't go on a helpline and say, I'm getting bullied at school, this is happening to me. But she had the revengeful mind to make these tapes. Like, I know it's a show, and if she got help, there wouldn't be a show, but I don't know, it's just too far-fetched.
Yeah, I didn't buy into the fact why she'd actually make the tapes.
It's for revenge.
And I guess it's like an old form of technology. It's a bit interesting that she would do that.
Yeah.
I do think the people in her school most of them are bad people. And some in particular, like what happens towards the end of the series. I guess some of the characters are said are quite shocking, and the things they do. Do I buy the tapes? Maybe not, but for the sake of the show, it's entertaining. I guess I spent the whole show wanting to know why Hannah didn't end up with Clay.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, like, with him by her side, that things would have been better and she would have been happier, but they just never seemed to work out. And she'd say, like, he didn't, like, take hints and he didn't do this, and, like, I don't know. I don't buy that. I feel like it was pretty obvious that he liked her, but she made it not happen between them. And then I guess in later seasons we find out more info about what happened prior to her dying, which just adds to the whole thing. It makes it seem even worse. But yeah, I guess the tape. That's my perspective of the tapes. What do you think?
I just didn't understand. Found them kind of pointless, and I don't know, like I said, kind of revenge tale. It's funny, like in episode 2, she's like, oh, you're here for my story, I've gripped you now. Like, it's like, yeah, you did. The writers have. Like I said, it's a fantastic mystery show, but with its topic that's trying to do, it does a terrible job. I see where they're going. They're basically saying talking is good, and even though the main character doesn't talk, so it bites his... The writers bite themselves in the foot, in a way.
I don't know if I can agree and say it does a terrible job. I think the overall message is that suicide can affect anyone. Anything can lead to suicide, and you should seek help.
But she doesn't.
But then, I guess that's what they're saying. This is what can happen if you don't seek help. So I guess the show is designed to show people what not to do. If you're in this scenario, to actually seek help. But I think it's also to show people the reality of what school life's like, and this does happen. I think people assume that young people just live wholesome lives, but they're actually faced by bullying, rape, guns, violence, like all kinds of things. And I think it's to shed light on that. So I actually think what it was trying to do, they did well. I think maybe you interpret it as trying to aim to do something else than what I interpret it to be doing. So what I think it was aiming to do, I think it does well. But you think that it's aiming to do something different, which is, I guess,
the point.
That's the point. People see it from different perspectives. So I think it nailed what it was trying to do. But I think it was trying to do something different than what you think it was trying to do.
Yeah, and I guess let's talk about some of the reasons with the people on the tapes, and I guess shall we talk about Tony, or the basketball lad, I guess you can say, and his reason is basically he showed some kindness because Marcus went on a date, and because of what happened with Jesse back in episode 1, he took a picture, and then Bryce sent it on like their school's like email or Google account, and it went viral, and then everyone assumed she was.
Well, he's designed to be a likable character,
He is a likable
and throughout
character.
the seasons that's the case. And
He's a good basketball player.
And he also has like lots of family problems and things that go on in his life, and he is a very likable character through the series. And I think he generally did like her for a period in time. He just did something really dumb, which kind of was the catalyst for her being bullied and at the school.
Jesse.
Yeah, and. Yeah, I guess he's one of the characters where I think his tape wasn't necessarily that bad.
Jesse and Bryce and Tony.
Yeah, I think her hatred for him is more about him not speaking out against his friend.
Yeah.
That like his friend had raped his girlfriend and he pretended like it didn't happen and didn't want to dob it in. So that to me is almost the main thing of the show. You know, suicide is one part of it, but I really think it was about like stopping rape culture and preventing and people speaking out, because
she didn't though.
When you see season 2, that's like the main theme of season 2. So I think that's what it was, but the intention of the show may have been.
But she didn't speak about the suicide. That's kind of the main problem I have with her characters, that she's so like what they did wrong she holds them up for, but she doesn't hold herself to be accountable, because she's not innocent as well. She does a lot of bad things for her.
Well, I guess everyone reacts to things differently. I guess if she did things how you wanted to, then there wouldn't be a show. It'd be like, so that they kind of have to, otherwise we wouldn't have got the entertainment value. And I think it's the point of shows. Characters need to do dumb things, because then we go, oh, well, this is interesting. If everyone did the right thing, that'd be the most boring show in the world. So I think...
what did you think about the poem situation, about how the main poem leader of the class, basically, she had really good potential, and then he emailed it or posted it anonymously, and then she like freaked out, and
I didn't like his character.
Oh, okay.
He continues on through other seasons, and I still don't really like him. I think that I think he really did wrong by her, and he's not very trustworthy, and it's just a combination of little things that everyone did towards her. It builds up. So the more you watch it and you rethink it, you go, yeah, it kind of adds up, but it's easy from the outside to going, oh, I would have did this differently. But I guess you don't know until you're there. She just definitely didn't have things easy. She did also invite drama into her life too. Other interesting tapes.
Clay's tape.
Yeah.
He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, basically. And then throughout the series, they keep saying like, oh, wait till you get to your tape, Clay. Wait till you get to your tape, thinking it was going to be something bad, but it really wasn't.
No.
He's a character that can become frustrating.
Okay.
Just always plays the victim, and he's always upset and tries to be righteous, and basically everyone hates him for it, but then suddenly becomes everyone's like pal in the following seasons, but then he just becomes annoying as a character, I think.
Because he was an amazing character in season 1. He's like the most likable person.
Yeah. Who else? Does the big basketballer get a tape? And what did he do wrong again? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about before. Basically, what he did wrong was he was comforting Hannah because Marcus touched her inappropriately, and then he was nice. And then that episode makes out it was going to be a big deal. And then basically he wants to do something, and then Hannah tells him to fuck off. And then basically he comes back, and then...
He's probably my favourite character.
The basketball player?
Yeah, because I think he's really kind. He... Again, without going to further seasons, he becomes more and more likable as well. He's just a general nice guy, I think. Yeah, I think he. If you continue to watch the rest of the seasons, I wouldn't be surprised if he also becomes your favourite character.
Yeah, because basically in her mind, he threw the note that she wrote on the ground, but she actually lied about it. He didn't.
Yeah.
So she was basically telling the story from her perspective.
Who else got? I guess it was like her best friend, and how she ended up dating like
Alex.
Yeah, so that was, like, I don't know if I buy that,
No.
like their whole relationship thing. Alex comes an interesting character throughout the seasons.
Yeah. Season 1 ends with him like shooting himself in the head.
Yeah, and season 2 picks up with that, like the rehabilitation of him and him like relearning to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to criticize too much about the show, and I guess we could talk forever about each different tapes, but I guess that's for people to go and watch themselves and form an opinion.
The main problem that I have is that, do you remember Jeff, Clay's friend, who basically said, encouraged him? Jeff was like in the show for like 10. He wasn't in it for that long. Well, Hannah was drunk at the party, and then her and this other girl went in the car, and then they basically... Hannah wanted her phone or something instead of just pulling over or doing the sensible thing, and then they went over the stop sign, and then big channel events basically because of that. Jeff dies, and then Hannah's like, "Oh, I'm not going to take any responsibility. She didn't see her parents," and I actually felt more sorry for Jeff than I did for Hannah, if I got to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I forgot about that, actually.
That's a really coward thing to do. Like, she made out everyone else was bad, and it's like, hang on. You basically got someone killed. In your standards, like, I know it's not her fault, but her standards. Like, if Jeff survived the accident, Hannah would be on her list.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was a great character too, and he had a bright future, and he was just an overall like nice guy.
And she couldn't have the courage or the guts to apologize to his parents, and that's the problem with the show that I find. We're basically supposed to feel sorry for Hannah Baker, and and I remember the scene with Tony when it was Clay's turn, and Clay asked, "Was it your fault that?" Clay asked Tony, "Was it your fault that Hannah killed himself?" And Tony said yes. And then we find out the reason was, and it's like, no, it wasn't. Basically, what Clay did was they were about to have sexual times, and then Hannah had some bad images, bad experiences, and then went all crazy, and then told him to F off, and then... But we replay that scene, and then Hannah's like, "This is why I wanted you to do it." So he's not a mind reader. So, what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, you bring it to my attention that she is in the wrong, and that they do make a point of that in the following seasons, that people like, Hannah wasn't perfect, Hannah did this, stop sticking up for Hannah. Hannah is actually not a good person.
Yeah. So
they do play that out throughout the series. I just think it's a good series that it has so many things to talk about, and I think you should continue to watch them, but be mindful that they're not perfect.
Okay.
but just continue on with the mystery because it adds to
mystery is great.
some of them add to the first season. Like, I don't want to give it away, but you'll watch some parts and they talk about like relationships that characters had supposedly before Hannah died, and you're like, well, why was that not mentioned in her tapes? Like, just things that they don't add up when you really think about it.
And who's your favourite character in season 1 besides Clay? Because I feel like the writers wanted him to be the most likable character.
Like my favourite's the tall, athletic Asian basketballer guy. I can't think of his name for the life of me. But yeah, he was my favourite character besides Clay. And yourself?
Yeah, him as well, even though Clay was at the basketball game and keyed his car and did all this stuff. It's like, you don't even know what his reason is yet. Why are you doing that?
No, I think he's just a really good guy, and I don't think he does anything through any of the seasons to really make people think differently.
Yeah. And I guess, how would you say the best... Would you say it does the mystery parts better or the subject matter? Because I think the mystery parts...
I think it's the mystery, because it gets you wanting to know what happens, but you know that the character already died and she killed herself, so it's not like who committed a murder.
Yeah.
But it's got you hooked wanting to know what led to a suicide. It's a different way of looking at a murder mystery. Because you're not trying to find who did it, where and when. You're trying to look at what happened and how did it get to that point. Because throughout the season, you're like, oh, surely this isn't it. Surely this isn't enough to upset her. And then you get the final, like, the reason, which I think is probably most pathetic out of all of them. But
the last one, how they added in Bryce raping her as well.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, the last turning point was she was going to seek help from the counsellor and then got...
Shall we talk about that scene?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mr. Portland, I believe, started with the P.
Might be Porter or something.
Yeah, Porter. Basically, she wanted to see the school counsellor when she could have just looked up any other psychiatrist or just asked her parents. And then they have his second meeting with the school counsellor, and even in the previous episode, the teacher is like, oh, I got 200 students, and he's like, I got 500, so you know he's overworked. And then she's like, oh, I've been having all these problems and all these stuff, and he does the best job that he can. The only thing that he probably did wrong is that the phone kept ringing, but, you know, that's probably...
But yeah, I don't believe that was the final straw. Like, she finally sought help. But in saying that, I don't think he was great or very helpful when she went to seek help from him. So
yeah, that's the problem. He's overworked and probably should have done a better job. But it's a bit silly that she was like already taping him, and then she's like, "Oh, I want him to come outside." It's like he's not a mind reader. So yeah, it was unfortunate that she felt like she had to take her own life, because it's not good when someone does that.
No. Okay. Well, we both have some differing opinions on it. We both rate it highly. I think you should pursue and watch the following seasons. I've already seen them. I probably would like to watch season 1 again, even though I've already seen it twice. But yeah.
What was your thoughts about Courtney, the character that she had a scuffle with, and then the pervert with the photos took the photos, and then Courtney had a really big overreaction, but it was understandable because she was a lesbian and she didn't really know how to come out because she had 2 dads, so...
Yeah, I don't know why that would be a problem, but I guess if you're not in that situation, you don't understand it. But that character, the photographer, he annoys me throughout the season. He becomes really important in future seasons, and it annoys me more. Yeah, I guess she's an alright character, but she's in an interesting situation. But she's like afraid to be a lesbian because she has 2 gay dads, and people think that that's typical, but I don't see why. Yeah, don't really have much to say about it, to be honest.
And what was your favourite, like, parent characters and adult characters because Alex has a detective dad.
I probably like Clay's dad.
Yeah, he was a good dad.
Yeah, probably him be my favourite character that was a dad.
And did you find it at any point that Clay's mum kind of should have left the case?
No, I think that's for the story. It needs to be there.
Well, thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.